Welcome, everyone, to today's broadcast of Kingdom Keys to Business Success. I'm so excited to introduce to you today's speaker, Dr. Lynda Barnes, also known as the Success Doctor. I love that. She is a business development coach who teaches women how to not only build and generate wealth without disconnecting from the purpose, but do it in a way that's really healing. So we're so happy to have you on the show here today. Welcome, welcome.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here and get to know each other.
Yeah, I would love to, and I'm sure the audience would love to know how did you become the success doctor? How did God lead you into that role in your entrepreneurship journey?
It's been a long journey. But entrepreneurship, I think, has always been from birth. My grandparents were entrepreneurs. My parents were entrepreneurs. Even though they had, my mom specifically had career jobs, she was also entrepreneurial in different ventures that she had as well. So, how I got started, I always had like little side hustle things going on. But then God spoke to me and me surviving, being a survivor of childhood sexual abuse and domestic violence, he spoke to me to speak to that, that audience. And
Yeah.
I was in a state job making great money, great benefits. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that because I never actually dealt with my own story,
Mm.
my own healing. And that kind of like
Yeah.
started the journey of me going through like a back and forth with God. Like, why do I have to do this? And
Yeah.
I did not listen at first. What got me to listen was I was involved in a car accident leaving my
Wow.
job.
Wow.
And I got T-boned. And God was like, now, okay, you didn't want to listen. So now I'm going to listen. And I went through a period of going back and forth with my job about my accommodations and things like that. And then I end up having to choose whether I was going to be fired or resign.
Oh,
In
wow.
the process of those 2 year, about a year and a half to 2 years of recovery, I went back to school to get my degree in counseling and things like that. So I kind of was preparing myself,
Yeah.
not knowing what, was going to happen. And then God kind of like pushed me right into
Yeah.
entrepreneurship.
How about now? Now's a good
That
time.
was one instance. The second instance into entrepreneurship was I lost I kind of built a full community mental health facility. I
Oh,
actually
wow.
lost that business. And then it was kind of like I went through like a grieving process. And
Mm.
then God just kept telling me, listen, the vision is still the same. It's bigger than you. It's bigger than what you're going through right now. I gave you the vision and you need to get back to it. And he just kept adding stuff. And the more stuff, just assignments just kept adding to it, I kept getting overwhelmed. And he said, well, it's not going to get any easier. So you need to start. So I decided to get back in the game and give it a shot again.
Wow. So definitely was pushing you to kind of go out of your comfort zone. Is that when you started working on healing yourself, when he was like, okay, you're going to do this? Because that is kind of the beauty, because I've been a therapist for a long time, and uh, I've gotten to go through so many processes while learning, and then being able to teach others. Is that kind of how it was for you?
Yes, before I actually went into like case management and counseling and the therapy and psychology realm, he took me through a process of like forgiving my abuser and
Yeah.
I not which n- I now created a formula from it called the BEAD formula, which is believe, expect, action, and declare. Where you just have to believe what God says about you. You have to expect what He tells you, and what He promises you. You have to take
Okay.
action on the things that He's telling you to do, and then you have to declare the things that He's telling you, even through reading the Bible and scripture and things like that. You have to declare those things over your life. Even if it's the goals or things that you want out of life, you have to declare it in order to make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
Mhm.
Definitely a process of surrendering to him and his ways and not always
and
an easy road.
and definitely being obedient because
Yeah.
that was, I think, one of the toughest things for me is like hearing it and making sure it was him and then being
Yeah.
obedient to it. And I think that's why that accident happened because he was like, okay, well, if you're not going to listen to me, I'm going to make you listen.
Yep. Yeah, I think there's things that can happen that can just, be a little like wake up, like I'm
A
trying
wake
to
up
do this the
call.
easy way, but you're not letting me. So let's pull some carpet out from under your feet and make you do something different. So you went into a different direction. And now, I mean, it seems like you've kind of melded a couple things together because you do wealth stuff, but you also do healing stuff. So how did that happen?
So for a long time, I wrestled with, okay, God, you told me to go that direction. Even through some disobedience, I eventually lost that business. It wasn't like I had a employee that actually committed fraud in that business,
Oh,
but
wow.
I ended up paying the price for it. But it was a process of like me being disobedient again. Because he told me certain things to do, like pray over everyone I brought into the business. Then he told me to start a church ministry. I started education ministry as well, which is a private school. And I did bits and pieces of what I wanted to do. I didn't go exactly according to his plan. So I think the result of me losing that business, which was a multi-million dollar business, was a part of my disobedience again. So then when in which he made me realize that when I was going through like that grieving period and I was like, well, so tied to my success and my name and it was a community-based business. So, I was in the community and providing services in different ways. So I kind of felt shameful and things like that. And I had to go through that whole process. And he reminded me of the bead process of forgiveness, forgiving myself. I was
Mm,
angry at him, just
yeah.
different things that I had to revisit to start healing myself again and to get back out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Must have been definitely a journey of like of just kind of blind faith a little bit, of how to really trust when you don't really know. Um, so did you, after you lost that business, how did you know what to do next?
He came to me again and he told me basically the vision is still the same, nothing has changed. And I'm gonna keep adding stuff to it. And I was like, oh my gosh, what do you mean it's still the same? I went to school, got the degrees, I lost that part. So how am I gonna be able to still keep the same vision? And he kept repeating it. It's still the same, it's still the same. Um, you don't have to have the degree or the title or, the the notoriety
Yeah.
to provide
Hmm.
the same, the same services you were providing. You could just provide it. And I was,
Right.
what do you mean? I don't understand because that's not what you told me at first. It was, well, you didn't listen, so now things change. And like I said, the more you sit back, the more things I'm adding, and the more disobedient you are, the less you're gonna, be able to, catch up to what I'm telling you to
Yeah.
do. The assignment will be passed on. So I started getting a little fearful about the disobedient part again and having to go through that whole process of, I felt the pain of being
Right. You've been on
disobedient.
a roller coaster, so
Right.
how do we avoid that again? It sounds like you had a really good connection with God and hearing him. Was that always the case? Was that a skill you eventually acquired?
I think it's kind of been a natural thing for me, even as a child. And I even think that's part of why I get attacked so much, because I have very strong discernment, very strong faith. And I hear things that other people might not, even prophetically. So I think that's kind of why I get attacked a lot, especially and then I think that's why
Yeah.
he gives me a lot too, because
Yeah.
those my gifts, he gave them to me. So um, Yeah, it's been tough, but it's
It is,
it's
it's true. That is definitely feel you on that. I mean, when given great responsibility also comes with all of the other things that can happen. Definitely spiritual warfare is huge. Only means that there's so much greatness, that is surrounding you and yet to come even. So it has to hopefully give you some inspiration to just keep going. But yeah, it can definitely be tough. What's your routine with working with God in your business now?
Oh, I put him first. Everything is faith-based. Like I pray every day. I pray over everything in my business, every decision. Even if I get ideas, I pray about it and wait for clarity and confirmation. I can't do it no other way. I just
Yeah.
can't do it any other way because even with my husband's business, my husband has a construction company. I manage his company as well. Um, I'm a serial entrepreneur as well. Well, serial CEO, I like to say, because I own and
Yeah.
manage all these companies. Um, and why I promote creating multiple income streams as well, because when I had that community mental health center, even though I started creating other ventures, because I of the disobedience, it wasn't where it was supposed to be for it to stand on its own. So that kind of threw everything back. But my husband did start his business. Well, I helped him start his business as well. Well, going through the grieving period, God spoke to me again and told me, well, hey, build your husband's business. This was kind of like the
Yeah.
way it kind of validated my feeling of, so kind of switched me from saying, okay, I can't do it. I can't do it anymore. And God was like, well, you did it before. I showed you how to do it. You could do it again. You could do it for other people. So my husband was
Mhm.
kind of like my case study, my case
Yeah. Start from scratch and
and
see how it goes.
right. And kind of worked with him, which I didn't want to get into the construction field. I always felt like that was such a manly field. And I had so many stereotypes about it. And God was like, no, you're going to work with your husband and you're going to help him build. And I was like, oh my gosh, no, I don't. No, I don't want to do this. But again, stepping out of my comfort zone, I did it and actually helped build that business to seven figures as well.
Nice, nice. So you had a good template to kind of start modeling after doing that.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, very nice. So it's funny because when you talk about God talking to you, and it's kind of like every time it's kind of like, what? Like, why do why do you want me to do that? That would be, it seems like it would be hard because if it was always challenging, it'd be so easy to just be like, no, and give up. But clearly somewhere along the way something good happens or there's something happens. And can you talk about that a little bit, like when you not wanted to do it but then what happened in the end so that you knew, okay, even when I don't want to do it, I know that I should.
So with that, even though I didn't want to do the things, the first instance was creating the mental health community center, which actually started as a case management agency. So we started as a case management agency, and the growth, I grew so fast. Number one, I got licensed where nobody was like getting licensed in our community. Um, and everybody was like, "Wow, how you got licensed?" Then I became a state coordination trainer to teach people how to start agencies like mine, which kind of propelled me even more. So that grew into what became a counseling agency, then a full mental health community
Oh,
center.
wow. Nice.
That was the first instance of success from me being obedient, even though I was disobedient at first. He kind of showed me, okay, this is the result of you being
Yeah.
obedient.
So,
Um, the second instance is me not wanting to work with my husband and help him build his business. Being obedient to that call, that's where he really showed me, okay, because I was still second guessing myself
Yeah.
about, the call and what I was called to do, and especially in the business world, because I already felt like, okay, you called me to the counseling realm to help women and children of sexual abuse and domestic violence. Well, that didn't work out. So what's to say this is going to work out?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so he kind of solidified that call by this business actually having success. And
Yeah.
within, like, my husband had the business for maybe a good 7 years before I stepped in. And
So
then when I stepped in, it took
took
about maybe 2.5 years to hit because he went from literally making six figures, low six figures to seven figures within 2.5 years. So
nice.
he kind of like
Yeah.
solidified, okay, I got some type of gift here with business.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe just helping you just build that confidence and know that you have a system that works and if you trust it. He trusted you more, I guess, than you trusted you.
Yes.
He was
And yeah,
like,
and it was kind of like a healing process for me to go through all of that as well. Because, um, the imposter syndrome comes in,
yeah.
and even dealing with my past abuse issues, it's a daily healing process for me, because you have triggers that comes up
Mhm.
and you have to work yourself through those things. And I have moments and I have days as well, so I also have to work myself through those things, and my faith and my connection with God is how I work myself through those healing processes.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you feel like in terms of the things that God has helped you heal? Um, what's one thing that you know that He's helped you heal that if you hadn't, you probably wouldn't be able to be doing what you're doing right now?
Two instances I could definitely say is healing from the abuse. Even
Yeah.
though I say it's a daily process, it started with the forgiveness of
Yeah, that's
other people
huge.
that may
Yeah.
have hurt, caused that hurt and that pain to come in. And that was a big part of it, because once I realized what forgiveness was, it was not just for me forgiving that person, it also helped me to process the whole situation that happened when I was so young. So that was one instance where I realized, okay, you know, God, God is real,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
getting and pulling strength from him when I can't make it through certain things. That's how I literally live my life every day, even especially dealing now with my chronic illness. I get up sometimes and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do it to anything today, but I have multiple businesses to run. So sometimes I do it from bed, but I still pull from my strength. I'm like, God, help me, give me the strength to do this. You
Yeah.
give me this call, help me to do everything that you call me to do. I could do it through your strength, renew my mind, different things like that. I tell myself, which comes back to the bead formula of believing, expecting, taking action, and declaring
Yeah.
things of your life.
Yeah, yeah, wow, definitely. Some people, a lot of people probably don't, and maybe you experience this in the work that you did, that they don't really put two and two together. Sometimes they don't realize the past stuff that they maybe have or haven't dealt with can definitely impact their business and what they're doing, and that it's all really interconnected. I don't think God sees it as like, okay, heal, this, and then you can have prosperity over here, and it's all separate. It's like it's all together. It's all one big thing. It's like healing your soul and then everything can prosper. So,
That's so
yeah.
true. A lot of
Yeah.
people tend to separate faith, life,
Mhm.
business, past,
Mhm.
future, present. Like they
Yeah.
separate everything, and realizing that it's all one, it makes it so much easier to deal with, to get to the root problems, to move forward, to go through the process of healing and moving forward, so you don't have blind spots that come up later on. um you
Right.
know
Yeah.
like come up later on and hinder your growth because you're feel like you get to a certain level, then now you're stuck
Yeah.
because you don't, you feel then, those past feelings come back again. And, it's just a whole process that you
Yeah.
have to, it's a daily process.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, all the things, especially you've experienced trauma. I mean, that definitely impacts, like you said, imposter syndrome and your identity. And, if that's kind of shaky, how are you supposed to have a business? I mean, that takes a lot. It takes a lot to run a business to at any level. It really, can be very triggering in rejection and, and confidence and all those things. So it's absolutely anybody who's called to have a business is called to heal. I think it's like that's a part of it. It's like, here, you might not want to do it in this other way, but if you're going to have a business, you're going to heal because it's going to push you, to
Yes. And not
look at
saying
those
that,
things.
it's not saying that every day is going to be great, because it's not.
Mm.
But in those moments when, you might feel down, I call on God, my faith. Like I said, I pull from that strength because I know I have to keep going because this is what I'm called to do. This is my purpose. So I think that really keeps me going, is knowing that I could, call on the power of God
Yeah. Yeah.
to keep going.
Yeah. It sounds like something that you've really clung to and that's been really helpful for you. Yeah. Calling on the strength of God. That's really good. Is there some way that you do that? Do you have a practice, like a prayer time or any kind of system that you use? I mean,
Yes.
the bead system is amazing. I meant more like in your like morning prayer time.
Yes, I wake up and pray every morning between sometimes it's- sometimes it could be earlier, but usually between 4 and 6. But sometimes I get woke up at 2 and I start praying, like
Do it, yeah.
something prompted me to start praying, and then I just start praying over everything, and whatever the spirit prompted me to pray over, I start praying as well. So yes, I do have a strong prayer life. I
Yeah.
read the Bible every day in the morning, and sometimes if I get prompt to pull the app up on my phone, I do that during the day as well. So yes, I constantly pray during the day, just constantly calling things, declaring things over, my business, my family, my life, other people's lives. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. Yeah, definitely spending that time with God and praying
yes.
is really important and building that muscle, that prayer muscle.
And
Yeah.
it took a while to get there, but every habit, once you practice it, becomes natural to, to do.
Yeah. Yeah. What would you tell entrepreneurs? Because I know that you try to help people build businesses as well. And if you're seeing someone that feels really stuck or overwhelmed and like they keep trying and trying, nothing's happening, they're just feeling really unsure about God's timing, if this is right for them, what would be some advice that you would give them?
I would tell them to make sure they're in alignment with what God is calling them to do. Um, because if it's out of alignment, it's not probably not going to happen the way they want it to happen.
Yeah.
So definitely making sure they build that muscle and relationship with God, so they would know definitely if they're in alignment with what God is calling them to do. Making sure that they're now then once they know that they're in alignment, making sure that they're aligning their gifts and calling with what you know they're actually supposed to be doing. Because some things could get misconstrued and misaligned within
Hmm.
that process. That happened for me as well, where I got so much talent, so much gifts that I kept feeling like, okay, well, I have to do this and I have to do that, but I can't join the two. And some other, entrepreneurs might feel that way, like, okay, well, I want to do this, but I feel like I'm supposed to do this, and I'm feeling like I'm supposed to do this at well. And
Yeah.
this where I come in and I say, well, kind of feel what God is leading you with first.
Mm.
And then because he kind of gives you it in order as well. Now, like I said, if you're
Mm-hmm.
being disobedient, then he might keep adding stuff, and then you get confused because you don't know which one was first and what you're supposed to do first, and second and third and fourth. But just making sure you're aligned with what God is
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really true. That definitely was a big thing for me because I hustled and tried all the things and got, nowhere fast and just except for big headaches and debt and stuff. But once I did basically what you're saying is I just stopped and really spent time with God, made that priority, then it was like the ideas started coming and it just accelerated. So very true. Seek God first because that's what's when you know that voice, that relationship, then you're going to know what he's called you. It's just going to be easier. So,
Definitely.
yeah, that's definitely really good. So, I would love for the audience to be able to meet you and come into your world. How can they do that? How can they find you?
So I'm all over social media as Dr. Lynda Barnes. You could also search the Success Doctor. And I also have a community called the Shio Community.
Yeah.
Shio Community is basically women being resilient, building wealth, working together. I focus on helping women of faith create multiple income streams so they're not relying on one thing and building
Yeah.
wealth through that. And then I also am a funding broker where I also help with getting business funding and credit repair if needed.
Nice, nice, awesome. Yeah. So we will have a link for that community here. Just look below the video and you can join and get, she does daily prayers and scriptures and advice and stuff. I'm part of the community and it's definitely really inspiring. It's so important to stay in community with people when you're building businesses and just be lifted up because it's so easy to just get really overwhelmed and
Yeah.
go into the struggle. So it's a great place to stay lifted up. So check out that link and then there's trainings in there. There's all sorts of really cool stuff in that community that you can learn a bunch of stuff about wealth and multiple ways to get wealth and all that kind of stuff. So awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show and sharing your testimony. And I love your bead method. I'm going to try that. That's definitely really helpful. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. Hope everyone enjoyed that. Make sure that you check out that community and come back tomorrow. We're going to have some more speakers at Kingdom Keys here, and so that you can learn all the ways to connect with God, build your intimacy with God, so that He can lead you down the path of your calling where you're going to just excel. It's going to make your life so much more clear when you really connect with God and let Him lead you. So, I just want to end saying that you are blessed, called to serve, and grace to prosper. Thanks everyone for being here, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.